You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, you're considering getting on the mats, or you're taking your child to train. I'm so happy you're here listening to this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you're feeling stuck and want more motivation in life, start training Jiu Jitsu. My guest today reached out and answered one of my social media stories in how they started Jiu Jitsu. And they were quite happy to share with me that they started hanging around with some of their buddies back in 2007. And in 2022, lost 70 pounds of weight post-baby. I'd like to welcome Sabrina Pavel to my podcast. Hi Sabrina, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, fantastic. It's lovely to have you here. So tell me about your journey. You started hanging out with some friends in 2007. Tell me about that.
I went to a private Christian college in Malibu, California, called Pepperdine. And I was immediately kind of not the typical student because I was always wearing like all black, like tap out sweatshirts. There's kind of a country club kind of campus, but it paid off because a couple of my friends that I had not met yet saw the tap out sweatshirt. We're like, hey, do you watch the UFC? We all bonded over it. We started like a little fight club that we all watched. They somehow finagled their way into getting a key to the college rec room. And we started training jiu-jitsu at like 5 a.m. Every day before class.
Oh, that's dedication. So training at 5 a.m. I know some listeners train very early in the morning, and that's their thing. But how did you find that and kind of working in with student life?
It was a challenge. I think I was a freshman in college at the time. So, my hours were wild anyway because it was like the first taste of freedom. And so now like going to college and starting to train and needing sleep was a whole different thing. I don't think I could do it now, but at the time it worked out.
I hear you. So were there any days or many days where you were out, parties, nightclubs, whatever, and then straight onto the training mats in the morning?
Not typically that year because I think I was only 18. And in the US, most of the clubs are like 21 and over. So I was still pretty central to campus, but yeah, I even so, I just, like I said, I don't think I could do it now, even especially with 2 little kids. So, but at the time it was perfect. It got me into the world and it really started to scratch an itch that I didn't know I had.
That's really nice. I love it when people get interested in jiu-jitsu and they've never come across it before and they are just involved. And I think that's the story for many of us. But have you trained consistently since 2007 or has there been some on and off time?
There's been a lot of on and off time. I trained with them for about a year and then I studied abroad later and life just kind of changed. I stopped training in jiu-jitsu consistently until about 2011 when I moved to Portland, Oregon, started training with Team Quest up here and just really got super into it. I was there hours every day. Took a break when I had my baby, came back, got my blue belt. So of course I disappeared for, as the stereotype is, I disappeared after getting my blue belt for a while and then came back. So up until this last year, I guess beginning of 2022, point where I didn't feel comfortable in my own body after having a baby. And I knew I had to change something. So I came back to jiu-jitsu and I was ready to level up just in everything, in my dedication to it, in potentially competing, all of it. And so I started training probably an hour a day to begin, 5 to 6 days a week. And then I would say by summer, I was in there 3 to 5 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Wow, that's some dedication. I love it. I don't get the opportunity to train quite so many hours, but if I had the opportunity, I would be there. Maybe that's on my to-do list, actually. Maybe that's shifting my lifestyle to train more jiu-jitsu. So I know one of the things you mentioned about feeling stuck prior to starting jiu-jitsu, or kind of throughout, and it helps you find your motivation and give you more motivation for life. Tell me about how that felt.
Yeah, that's been really at multiple points in my jiu-jitsu journey. When I first started jiu-jitsu, like I had said, I had just started the university. I didn't have any friends. It was a new environment, a new state. It was just complete. Everything was new, and so to be taken into this little fold, this little club with my friends doing jiu-jitsu, really helped motivate me to get out there, to be more social, to make more friends. Helped me stay fit and not gain the stereotypical freshman 15.
Yeah.
Um, so that helped. Then when I started again, when I moved to Portland, again I had moved to a new state and a new city. I didn't know anybody, and I knew that I really wanted to be involved in the MMA world in some way, shape, or form. And I was working professionally in the MMA world for a clothing company that sponsored the UFC prior to the whole Reebok deal. And so that really, I got to interact so much with so many athletes. The internet was different still, even though it's only, 10 years ago. The internet was so different. Everybody was so much more
Yeah.
attainable. I feel like
Yes.
I was friends with all these professional fighters. I was getting all these resources, and it was just amazing and helped me find my way. And
Yeah.
then with my son, I really had lost who I was. I had horrible postpartum depression. I have ADHD for sure, and it was much worse after having postpartum depression. I noticed that it was manifesting differently,
Yeah.
and jujitsu really helped me to breathe, to just calm down, to work through all the tough emotions that I was feeling postpartum, but
Yeah.
also just from like bouncing around like a pinball. So
I thank you for sharing the ADHD part of your story. Very much appreciating you're coming from kind of postpartum depression and lots of other things, but it sounds such a mix of emotion, hormones, everything going on, and that pinball effect you kind of talk about. But maybe like you, finding being on the mats really quite a calm experience,
mhm.
and really quite grounding in terms of mindset and physical kind of grounding, as well as lots of learning and lots of fun.
Mhm. Absolutely. I always feel like there's nothing that can quite center me or center my mindset better than just like sweating it out, just getting it like it just and sweating it out. And I mean, jujitsu is fantastic for that. In addition to all of the other amazing, aspects of it.
This is a Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. And today I'm talking with Sabrina Pavel, and she trains BJJ at Sunshine Athletics near Portland in Oregon. Sabrina, you talk about community and family and kind of finding new friends within the jiu-jitsu world. Tell me a bit about how that's been for you.
Yeah, that I've told so many people in my life, whether I'm close to them or just someone I've talked to for 5 minutes. If you want to find your new family, walk into a jujitsu gym, get on the mats. Everybody that I've trained with over the years, even those who live in different countries now, we are still in touch. We are still in contact. I know if I needed something or if they needed something, we'd be there for one another. There's something very unique about going to war with each other and taking an hour to play together, but
Yeah.
also like casually kind of try to murder each other. It's just there's something
Yes.
very unique about it that makes you bond and find your people.
Oh, I love
And
that.
that's been
The
true for me for my whole jujitsu journey.
It's kind of that love war dynamic, isn't it? The love hate thing.
It is.
I hadn't really thought of it like that. It's like I love to hate you, I hate to love you. It's like I'm just gonna attempt to choke you, or armbar you, which my children often try and do to me at open mat. But we'll not talk about that. So you've got quite young children at the moment,
Mhm.
and your youngest is only a few months old. Have you already got back to training? Is that something that is kind of in the mix of life right now for you?
I have been constantly messaging all of our coaches in a group chat like every week. like, hey guys, only 20 more days. Hey guys, only X more days. I had a repeat caesarean, so I have to wait. Now I'm approved by my doctor to go back. I'm just visiting my family. So as soon as I'm back in Portland, like the first day I'm back, I am on the mats. I did try to do a forward roll in my parents' living room this week, and it didn't go so well. So we're gonna see.
No.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, don't. I always, every episode so far is I've talked about legs overhead. Being a larger lady, I do struggle with that. Being so much front-facing apparatus, it's quite a challenge. That's fine. It's getting less. But yeah, the legs overhead. I shouldn't be so bold as to say, have you mastered that one? But not until your C-section's healed up, please.
Yes,
Not
front roll,
yet.
I was like, okay, I can do 2 in a row. Backward roll, I was like, oh, okay. We're going to need to work on this a little bit.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We talk about being on the mats and it being quite playful. And I know both of us as parents and women on the mats, actually, it's a really safe space to have fun and to learn with other female kind of, people that train jiu-jitsu. What do you call females or people that train jiu-jitsu? Because in my last episode, I said, I talk about, jiu-jitsu superheroes, but what is there a collective term for people that train jiu-jitsu?
I've seen a lot of people calling themselves, like at least the women call them jiu-jiteras or jiu-jiteras, I think, or something like that. I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. I don't know if that's like a official term. But,
okay, we'll have to come up with something that's generic enough for everybody. If anyone's got any suggestions,
I call my teammates my grappling dummies. So
okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think I would be the grappling dummy to some of my teammates, I'm afraid. Not the other way around. So I've been training for a while now. I've been promoted to a 4-stripe white belt, which I feel very proud. But equally in the last episode, I was like, I don't deserve my 4th stripe. I don't know enough. I don't feel like I'm equipped enough to be at this level. And of course, it's not my decision. But tell me about your transition through white belt to your blue belt where you are now and how that has been for you.
I had started off focusing so much on submission wrestling and no-gi that belting wasn't really on my mind until I started working in the gi more in like 2019, maybe late 2018. And I had a solid background from my no-gi experience, but I had joked so much with my professor, Chris Lencioni, about not wanting to be promoted to blue belt. It was like a constant, like, just running joke that I was never going to be promoted. We called me a super white belt.
Okay,
I was going to be a white belt for life. And I just didn't want the target on my back. And at the same time, major imposter syndrome. It's just like, I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. And so Chris actually called me because I do some photography. And he called me one day and he's like, hey, I'm doing promotions for the kids. Can you bring your camera and just take pictures of all the kids? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. He's like, hey, you need to wear a gi because you're going to be on the mat. Like, all right, whatever. So I showed up and he promoted me to blue belt.
Oh.
I was like, you sucker. Like,
yeah, you walked
had
straight.
To trick me into it.
Yeah, Sabrina, you walked straight into that one. And you did you have any idea? Oh, well, that was a really lovely way. Did you do a selfie with your professional camera though? As that's what I want to know.
I did not. I think I was so shell-shocked by everything. I was like, what is going on? So, but yeah, I was honored to be promoted, and I've had my blue belts now since October 2019, and Chris and Ryan, who is our other black belt professor at our academy, gave me 3 stripes. I want to say last summer, like a couple months before I got pregnant. Yep. And I remember being like, I did martial arts as a kid. I've been through the belting things with other forms of martial arts, and it was never a big deal to me. Yeah. And this was such a big deal to me. Like, I was finding myself choked up. I had to like joke with them so I wouldn't cry, because there's so much more to it. There's so much that you put into it, and jiu-jitsu is really special because there is this intimacy that you feel with your team, and they see you at the highest of highs. They see you at the lowest of lows. And it's like life in a 15-minute snapshot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it meant a lot.
Yeah. You bring back some thoughts for me. The highest of the highs usually is being promoted and feeling like in shock, or someone seeing a fantastic move that you pulled off and you actually managed to achieve the move that Professor trained that night. That's a win. That's always a win for me if you can get that during rolling.
Absolutely.
But the lows as well. I don't know whether you find, being a female, throughout the month of my cycle, I just get massive hormone surges that make me feel so overwhelmed. Sometimes having to walk off the mats because I'm in tears. But actually, it's a really calm space to come back in, and nobody really knows what's gone on. And you kind of keep it in your own space, and you can share it with the ladies afterwards in chat or whatever. But in that moment, it's a really equal level playing field. I'm not saying it's a good thing to hide emotions, because I'm sure everyone, if they knew that anyone on the mats was in tears and feeling upset and overwhelmed, they would be rushing around to support. But it's nice that, for me anyway, to just deal with that outside of the mats and then come back in completely composed, even if my eyes look a bit red and, things are all a bit ruffled and, I don't, okay, no, the sweat covers that up. That's fine.
Yeah, I wasn't crying. It's just sweat.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hot in here and I've been working really hard. That's all that's wrong. That's all that's wrong. Oh, Sabrina, is there anything else that you want to mention? I think we've had a really nice conversation that's kind of flowed through all of these things. One of the things I normally ask at the end of episodes when I have a fantastic guest is how people can get hold of you, sharing your socials so that people can reach out and, follow your journey as well as, anyone else in your network. So how can people get hold of you, Sabrina, if they want to find out more about your jiu-jitsu journey?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Je suis Bri, I think I have some dots in there, JE.SUIS.BRI. I'm on Instagram a lot. So I'm
Fabulous.
in that new mom groove where you're just constantly on your phone because that's all you can do while you're nap trapped. So
Yes. Okay, that's a great excuse. I've never quite used that one. Yes. I'm adopting that one now. I've kind of niched into my socials. Equally have dots in between Jiu-Jitsu Lou. But Sabrina's Instagram handle will be in the show notes, and a link to the school that you currently train at. I do know that you have a kickboxing background as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
yeah, I started kickboxing, striking when I was like 5. Oh gosh, I think I told you before it was like 27 years. That's like 31 years. Oh, um, so I've been doing it for over 30 years. And
Wow.
I coach a mom's class. So we call it the Mom Squad, and we meet 3 times a week right now. And we work through a lot of strength and conditioning and striking stuff, but more than that, it's another way. I always joke that I'm trying to manipulate them all into getting onto the mats for jujitsu by making them so comfortable and striking and like, oh, you guys all love me and trust me. Now do jujitsu with me. So,
Good.
so that's kind of the method to my madness. But I've done kickboxing forever. I was a national champion in Taekwondo years ago. I coached Taekwondo. I've coached striking, done some Muay Thai, all of it.
Fab. And obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is your favorite.
There's something unique about it. And I will say from a strictly like aesthetics point of view, nothing makes me fitter faster than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I can get in shape like super fast when I'm on the mats. It takes me a little bit longer with striking. So
Yes. I must agree with you on that one. I, lift weights and I don't do a great deal of cardio. I used to, but I've noticed the strength in my arms and my muscles in my arms from doing press ups and just the kind of strength. There I go. It's like I want to Okay. It's like I'm there already. Deep kind of choke moves.
Instinct already.
Yeah, I know. I'm at open mat tomorrow. It's okay. But yeah, the strength in my muscles and my upper body it's the strongest, kind of toughest I felt in my upper body for the whole of my training career in, fitness. So yes, I would absolutely agree. It's the fastest way to kind of get there. Obviously, the rest
Absolutely.
of our lifestyles need to align, but we do what we can.
Yes. And it just pulls everything together. It's, the resistance and plyo, cardio, all of it. It just pulls everything together. And on top of that, it's great for self-defense. I always tell the moms in my class, if you want to be hard to kill, get good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, yeah, ignore the bit where if you want to be hard to kidnap, eat more cake. Okay. Yeah, don't eat more cake. Train jiu-jitsu. Oh, Sabrina, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting with you. Now, in my the end of my previous episodes, I've gone os, which is kind of that, I guess. How are you supposed to, greet someone or say goodbye in, jiu-jitsu language? I'm still learning.
I don't know. For me, for our gym, everybody in our gym is like family now. So they're all like my brothers. So I usually do some sort of obscene gesture at them when I see them. But we can stick with the the shot for today.
Okay, that's cool. We can do that. Right, Sabrina, signing out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did recording it. I'm looking forward to having you listening again, and it would really help me if you could rate, review, and download this episode. And of course, remember, you can always head over to YouTube to watch the episode. Anyway, catch you again. Cheers. Bye.